Well, accomplished singer-songwriter and film producer Kurt Rosenberg has been composing Scottish and Irish music for over 25 years. And he's on the line with us here today. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Toby. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And it's exciting to talk to you because you're one of these guys that's got a finger in a lot of pies, haven't you?
I do. And before we get going too far, I want to thank you for having me on your show today.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to have you here. And I want to talk about one of your films, first of all, which is The Moon Followed Me to Falmouth, which is an animated short film in which a seafarer sings a shanty about finding and losing love on a voyage to a faraway land. Where did the inspiration come from for that? Because there's a song as well, isn't there? And this film is animated. And I've only seen the trailer, but it looks very nice.
Well, thank you. So the inspiration is kind of a neat story. I was in Falmouth, had wanted to go to Cornwall for quite a while, and I stayed at the Old Falmouth Hotel, which is a grand old Victorian hotel, and it's right on the sea. I don't know if you've been to Falmouth. And I was eating supper, and I looked out over the sea, and the moon had come up, and it was glorious. You know how sometimes you look at the moon and you look at the reflection on the water, it looks like a runway kind of, like for a plane. Yeah, it would look like it was a glorious moon. And while I was looking at it, I thought, well, the moon followed me to Falmouth, which of course is crazy because the moon is always there. But it struck me, and I really kind of liked that little thing I had in my mind. And as I was heading back to my room, I started humming this little song. It just came to me, and I went, "The moon followed me to Falmouth. The moon followed me to Falmouth." So that's how it started. And then I thought, well, I don't want to lose this little snippet of lyric and of music. So I called my voice recorder in Portland in my home, and to keep it for posterity. And I got home, and I had totally forgotten that I'd done it. And I was going through my messages after my trip, and there it was. And so I then wrote the song, and I knew it was always going to be. I'm a real fan of sea shanties. Shenandoah is like one of my very favorite songs of all time, and so I wrote it in the sea shanty style about a seafarer going off to sea, finding his true love, but the moon is kind of has a crush on him, kind of stalking him, and breaks them apart. And so the moon follows him. He goes to sea from Falmouth, and he comes back to Falmouth. But every night he looks up there, and it's a clear night, and there's the moon still following him. So that's where it all came from.
What do you mean you phoned your voice recorder? What is this fancy technology?
Well, so I think you can record onto your phone. I didn't know that. So I had my smartphone with me, and I just dialed up my Portland, landline, and left it on my answering machine that I've got. How you have this little answering machine, and it was there waiting for me when I got home. So I understand now that you can actually record into your phone, but I didn't know that. So it's kind of lucky I did it because I totally forgotten about the whole episode, and I was going through my messages when I got home, and there it was, and I sat down to the keyboard and just had that little snippet of the chorus and filled out the chorus, and then then I did the verse, and I wanted the verse to sound like it was going up and down the waves, which it does kind of, and that's how that was born. And then we liked it so much that we thought this would be a neat film. And I woke up one morning and I thought, that's going to be hard to film on site in Falmouth. And so I thought, animation, you can do so much. We can really capture the story and just have some fabulous animation to go along with it. And that's how we ended up getting animated.
Why would it have been hard to film in Falmouth? Was it because of travel restrictions, because of the pandemic, or just the fact that it's far away all of the time?
Okay, that's a really good question. So we could have done it in Falmouth, but we would have had to hire a cast. We would have had to get permitting, and then I knew it was going to be a tropical location. That the seafarer was going to meet this island maiden, and I thought, well, where in Falmouth? I know they do have kind of palm trees like down there, but it would never look as tropical as I'd like it. So that was more about not being able to find kind of the island where he was going to land. We could have made Falmouth work. I love Falmouth, but this gave us a lot more freedom to do what we wanted to do.
Yeah. And how does does making a film compare with making a song? Are they comparable?
Yes, they are comparable in that you have kind of I like to say you have kind of a nugget of an idea
Yeah.
for a song. Like I'll be on the keyboard and I'll just do a couple licks on the piano. And if I like the melody, I'll build it out. Kind of the same thing with the film. You kind of start with an idea of what you're going to do. I've always thought that with my films, I like to base them on my music. So we'll have the music and the lyrics, and then we usually hook up a storyboard artist or somebody. They'll take my lyrics and then they'll build it out and create this really cool story. But it's very similar. You have a process of listening, refining, and then making it perfect over time. There would be, with me right now, there would be no films without the music. And the music all starts with just a little riff of a melody, and then I build it out.
You've also worked on another film called Highland Home, which sounds pretty interesting. What is the story there?
That story is about what the background of the story, how I came up with that. Number one, I love Scotland. I absolutely love visiting. I always feel welcome there. I always feel like I'm kind of returning home. And I've been very fortunate to have visited many times, kind of know my way around the country a little bit. And I was with my brother, and we were exploring Arran and Bute, the islands off Glasgow, off the Clyde.
Yeah.
And we went to Arran, and I wanted to see this wonderful castle called Broddick Castle on Arran. And we were going through the castle, my brother and I, and in every room in the castle, they have guides. And as I was leaving one of the rooms, the guide asked the ladies in front of us whether they played piano, and they said no. But my brother turned to me and said, he does. And the lady turned to me and said, you do? And I said, yeah, I do kind of play piano. And I said, I kind of write Celtic music. And she said, you do? And I said, yes. And so I sat down and I played 3 of my own original songs with people standing around and kind of an impromptu concert. Anyway, that was a great experience. I came home from that, going through Broddick Castle, and I sat down at the piano, and I had this little idea of a melody, and I started practicing it. Got the whole song out. It was inspired by that trip to Arran and to Broddick Castle, and eventually found a wonderful arranger producer named Tim Gorman, who lives in Beaverton, which is right outside of Portland in my area. He said he would orchestrate it. He did. He did a beautiful arrangement. And after we got it recorded, we found a lovely lady here, Karen Johnson Miller Johnson, to do the recording. And we all were looking at each other, and I said, do you want to make a music video? And everybody said, yes, let's make a music video. We couldn't get to Scotland, so we found the Oregon coast, which looks kind of similar. And that's how I was born. So
wow. How similar does the coast look? I mean, could a Scottish person look at it and not know any better?
I'm afraid a Scottish person could, an American maybe not. But here's what's funny, Toby, is that when we were there for the shoot, we were staying in a nearby hotel, and we were talking to the receptionist, and she said, well, why are you guys here? Because she saw some of the equipment. And we said, well, we're going to film a song that was based on Kurt's song, Highland Home. And we're going to be filming in a place we think looks Scottish. And she said, oh, you should go up to God's Thumb. It looks Scottish. Well, that's where we were headed. So She thought, even not knowing what we were going to do, that it was Scottish looking. And it looks like kind of, the coast of Scotland. It's got some cliffs, and of course, Scotland's coast is very varied. It's got, if you get out to, Harris and Lewis, you've got these beautiful sandy beaches, and of course, there's other places up north that have more cliffy. But it looks enough like Scotland that I think we pulled it off, and so that's how we ended up on the Oregon coast. Hopefully the next time we do a Scottish piece, we'll actually film on site in Scotland. That's our plan.
Yes, it's great, because I was driving down the A1, longest road in the UK, and a lot of it at the very top goes right along the southeast coast of Scotland and the northeast coast of England, and it is just lovely seeing the vast sea out there, and it must have been a pleasure to try and recreate that.
And I think we did a good job. The other thing is that I had a really good tech scout team. A tech scout they try to find locations to film, and they found 2 beautiful spots within 30 minutes of each other that looked very Scotland. And I think we caught the essence, and with the music along with it, it transports you to Scotland. And the other thing is the costumes. I don't know if you've seen it, but the
Mm.
costumes we made them very authentic, so, and they look very very Scottish.
Yeah.
We had a piper and a fiddler, and they were all wearing Scottish attire. So
Yeah.
you don't have to. It's not much of a stretch of the imagination to think that you were actually in Scotland for that film.
Yeah. What era are these Scottish clothes from? Because you do realise that these days we wear basically the same as you.
I do. So this is actually took place probably 1780s, somewhere around there. So
Yeah.
probably after the Jacobites and all that, later on, maybe after the clearances, possibly just a little later. So something like that. Yeah. And so we really did research them, and we won quite a few. Leslie Gilbertson, our costume lady, won a lot of awards for our costumes at film festivals all over the world. So
Yeah.
we did our best. We did our best.
Certainly. Well, what else is coming up for you in terms of films and songs, etc.?
Okay, well, that actually segues nicely into we are going to be filming in Scotland. We're going to be filming. We're going to find a production company either in Glasgow or in Edinburgh with the eye to film on Skye, which is probably my favorite favorite island on the planet. My favorite.
Yes.
I love. Have you been to Skye?
I don't think I have, to be honest.
Oh, totally. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful island. It is like Scotland in miniature. You've got the Cullens there, which are these beautiful high peaks and beaches. And we were talking about, anyway, I love Skye. So I wrote a song called "Return to Skye," and we're gonna start kind of pre-production this summer with the hopes of maybe filming in October, maybe if we stay on schedule. If we don't make that, we'll do it in spring of next year of 2024 or something like that. So Skye, and that song is about, you want to hear a little about what the song's about? It's a little about
sure.
A gentleman who is a clansman who fights in Culloden and escapes the carnage, and he is from Skye, and so he's going to saying goodbye to his wife and his bairn, and he's going to head off to Skye and hide up in the hills and try to avoid the soldiers. So he's going to return to Skye. So that's what that's all about. So that we've got a lot of opportunity there and we're going to use actors. This is going to be we'll audition both a male and a female lead vocal, and I've got some folks on Twitter that I'm connected with who are in theater and sing. So that's up. And then the next one is after that, it's on the drawing board, and we're actually kind of in pre-production for that already. I wrote a song called "Strolling Down Brighton Pier," which is really cool. The Royal Philharmonic Orchestra recorded the soundtrack, and will be auditioning the lead male vocal. There's one male vocal in that, and it's all about a young man who is on the pier in Brighton. I love Brighton, England, and he sees this gal that's just ravishingly gorgeous, and he falls for her, and he talks about watching her stroll down Brighton Pier, but unfortunately, to his dismay, she's really going down the pier every day, waiting for her soldier lover to return, and he pops up. And so it's melancholy, but it's kind of in the vein of My Fair Lady, kind of. It's not Celtic at all. It's more Regency Edwardian kind of. So that's what we have going. And then I'm still writing pop songs all the time. And probably the biggest thing, Toby, that I'm working towards is I wrote a musical about 25 years ago too, and it's been sitting on a shelf. It needs polishing. It needs probably new lyrics, maybe some old songs popped out, some new songs popped in. And the reason I'm doing these other films is to get my name out there, and looking to collaborate with some of the best folks in the UK and Ireland to work on that. So that is going to keep me busy, I think.
Yeah, sounds very exciting.
Yeah,
well,
thank
where
you.
can we keep up to date with you and find all these films and trailers when they're out?
Okay, so thank you for asking about that. I'm on Twitter, K Rosenberg Music is one place you can find me. And right after I got off the phone, this interview with you, I'm actually working on a website, which will be
Oh,
Kurt Rosenberg, and then everything will be there. And we're probably about 3 weeks to a month for that going live. So all anybody would have to do is Google Kurt Rosenberg music and film, something like that, and you can find the website. And of course, that'll have links to Twitter, Apple Music, Spotify, all those places.
excellent. Well, many thanks for joining us today. It's been great to talk to you.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure, and thank you again for inviting me on board. I am trying to reach a UK audience, and this was really quite wonderful. So thank you so much.